Dr. Rachel Thornton provided PTSD treatment to veterans. But in reality, she was using their military clearances to access classified databases, selling information to Iran. For 3 years, it went perfectly. Until her patient Staff Sergeant Kevin Murphy was found dead at home after treatment. And the suicide note contained Dr. Thornton's real name. Dr. Rachel Marie Thornton was 34 years old and worked as a PTSD specialist at the Veterans Affairs Medical Center in Denver. Her office was on the 8th floor, spacious with large windows, a calm environment. On the walls hung psychology degrees, military appreciation certificates, and photos of smiling veterans. Patients loved her. Compassionate, understanding, non-judgmental. Dr. Thornton understands me, they would say. She really cares. But none of them knew the truth. Rachel's real name was Samira Hosseini. Iranian-born, MIT computer science graduate, and a deep-cover operative who had been working for Iranian intelligence for 5 years. Every therapy session wasn't just treatment, it was an intelligence-gathering operation. Veterans would trust her, share classified information, deployment locations, operation details, security protocols, fellow soldiers' names. Rachel would carefully memorize this information, then transmit it to Tehran via encrypted communications after going home. Iran used this intelligence to predict American military operations and develop countermeasures. It was the perfect cover. Who would suspect a psychiatrist? This morning, when Rachel arrived at her office, Secretary Beverly Cooper gave her a message. Dr. Thornton, Mr. Murphy's appointment has been canceled. Family emergency. Staff Sergeant Kevin Murphy was a patient Rachel had been treating for 18 months. Iraq veteran, 3 tours, severe PTSD, and Rachel's most valuable intelligence source. Murphy had access to classified information due to his Special Forces background. The information Rachel learned from him was priceless for Tehran. Upcoming operations, personnel locations, security vulnerabilities. Maybe we can reschedule later, Rachel told Beverly. But Murphy never rescheduled. Because that night, he was found dead in his home. The next morning, Rachel saw the story on local news. Local veteran found dead in apparent suicide. Murphy's photo appeared on the TV screen while the reporter explained. Staff Sergeant Kevin Murphy, 32, Iraq War veteran, found dead in his apartment yesterday evening. Apparent suicide by gunshot. Murphy had been receiving treatment for PTSD. Rachel tried to look concerned but was secretly worried. Murphy had asked unusual questions in their last session. Doc, PTSD treatment records are confidential, right? Nobody can access them? Of course, Kevin. Doctor, patient privilege, Rachel had replied. But there was something different in Murphy's eyes. Suspicion? Fear? That afternoon, Rachel drove to Murphy's apartment. Police tape was still there, and the building superintendent gave Rachel details. Terrible thing. Kevin was a nice kid. Found him in the living room, gun beside him. Left a note, too. A note? Yeah, rambling about betrayal, secrets. Poor guy. PTSD really got to him. Rachel carefully asked. Were there specific details in the note? The superintendent looked at her suspiciously. You're his doctor, right? Maybe you should talk to the police. Rachel left, but an uneasy feeling was growing. Had Murphy been suspicious? What was written in the note? That evening, Rachel called her Tehran contact. Code name Nightingale. Nightingale here. This is Phoenix. Murphy asset eliminated himself. Potential security risk. Explain. Patient became suspicious. Before death, asking questions about confidentiality. Possible compromise. Terminate operation and extract immediately. Negative. Too valuable to abandon. Need more intelligence on current deployments. Phoenix. Mission security is priority. Extract. Request 48 hours. One more major intelligence gathering, then extract. Silence. 48 hours. Then extraction is mandatory. Rachel knew it was risky, but the opportunity was too valuable. The next day, there was a major briefing at the VA hospital regarding new Middle East deployments. Multiple high-clearance personnel would be attending. Perfect intelligence opportunity. The next morning, when Rachel arrived at her office, she noticed unusual activity. Security personnel were extra present in the building. Badge scanners were carefully checking IDs. Beverly looked nervous. "Dr. Thornton, FBI agents have requested Murphy's therapy records." Rachel's heart skipped. "Requested?" "Suicide investigation. Routine, apparently. Records are sealed for now." Rachel tried to remain composed. Of course. Cooperation is necessary. But internally she was panicking. Murphy's files contained sensitive notes. If the FBI analyzed them carefully, they might find patterns. At 10 a.m., the first appointment arrived. Captain James Walker, Afghanistan veteran, high security clearance. Rachel started normal therapy, but her mind was racing. "Captain Walker, in our last session, you mentioned the Kandahar operation." Walker gave a detailed description of the classified mission. Rachel tried to memorize it but couldn't concentrate. Murphy's death was haunting her. After the appointment, Rachel went to the bathroom to regain her composure. She looked at her reflection in the mirror. She had maintained a perfect double life for 5 years. Maybe she was being paranoid. As she exited the bathroom, she overheard an unexpected conversation in the hallway. "Murphy's psychiatrist should be investigated," one voice said. "Why?" Another voice replied. "The suicide note mentioned a name. Dr. Thornton knows my real name." Strange thing to say. Rachel froze. Murphy had mentioned her real name in the suicide note. Impossible. Murphy didn't know her true identity. Unless. That evening, Rachel frantically researched Murphy's apartment. News reports, police statements, neighbor interviews, looking for any mention of the suicide note's content. She found a small detail in the local newspaper. Note referenced feeling betrayed by trusted individuals, mentioning specific names. Rachel contacted Tehran on the emergency frequency. "Phoenix emergency. Asset possibly compromised identity before death. Explain immediately. Suicide note contains references to real name. Security breach confirmed. Extraction authorized. Immediate. Need 24 hours for clean exit. Negative. Extract now. Cannot. Suspicious departure will draw attention. Need cover story." Rachel made a plan. The next day she would call in sick, clean her apartment, and disappear. New identity, new location, new cover. But the next morning, everything changed. A knock at the door. 7 a.m. Rachel peeked through the window. 2 men in suits. FBI badges visible. "Dr. Thornton? FBI Special Agent Marcus Cole. We need to speak with you regarding Kevin Murphy." Rachel calmly answered the door. "Of course." Tragic situation. Agent Cole and his partner, Agent Lisa Warren, entered. Professional but assertive. "Dr./Plas. Thornton. There's an interesting reference in Murphy's suicide note. Says, Dr. Thornton knows my real name is not Kevin Murphy. Care to explain?" Rachel's mind raced. "I'm not sure what that means. Kevin never mentioned other names." "Interesting. Because Kevin Murphy died 3 years ago in Fallujah, the patient you've been treating." Identity unknown. Rachel's blood froze. Impossible. Murphy was real. He had records, military ID, clearance. Agent Warren continued. "The person you knew as Murphy used a stolen identity. The real question is, did you know?" "Of course not. I had no idea." "See, the problem is," Agent Cole interrupted, "fake Murphy had access to classified databases using stolen credentials. And therapy sessions coincide with several intelligence leaks." Rachel realized she had fallen into a trap. Murphy's identity wasn't real, but somehow he had access to classified information, and he had been using it to test Rachel. "Are you suggesting I'm involved in espionage?" Rachel asked indignantly. "We're suggesting," Agent Warren smiled coldly, "that either you're very unlucky or very guilty." The agents continued their questions for 2 hours. Rachel carefully answered, maintaining her innocent psychiatrist role. Finally, the agents left, but gave a warning: don't leave town. Rachel immediately assessed the situation. Murphy was a fake identity but somehow had access to real classified info. Was this a setup? A government operation to catch Rachel? Or was Murphy a real spy from a different agency? The phone rang. Unknown number. Dr. Thornton? Yes. We need to meet. Murphy was my partner. Who is this? Someone who knows your real name, Samira. The line went dead. Rachel panicked. Her cover was completely blown. That evening, Rachel went to meet at a public park. It was risky, but she needed answers. A man sitting on a bench approached, middle-aged, casual clothes, confident demeanor. Dr. Thornton, I'm Agent David Kim, CIA. CIA? Murphy was a CIA asset. Deep cover infiltrating Iranian intelligence networks for 3 years. Rachel was confused. But Murphy was an Iranian spy working for me. Exactly. Murphy discovered your real identity 6 months ago and reported it. We've been monitoring ever since. Then why? Because through you, we accessed Iranian intelligence networks. Murphy fed you false information. We tracked where it went, identified the entire spy ring. Rachel realized she had been double-crossed. Murphy hadn't contacted her to catch her, but to use her. So Murphy's death? Real suicide. The pressure was too much. Living a double life among double agents. Mental breakdown. Kim continued. But the suicide note was an intentional message. He knew his death would trigger an investigation and expose you. What happens now? Kim smiled grimly. Now you work for us. Work for you? You have a choice, Kim explained. Prison for espionage or become a double agent. Continue feeding information to Iran, but controlled by us. Rachel weighed her options. Prison meant a life sentence. Cooperation meant survival, but a dangerous game. Does Iran suspect my cover is blown? Not yet. They think Murphy's death is a coincidence, but suspicion is growing. And if I refuse? Kim showed photographs. Rachel meeting Iranian contacts, exchanging information, bank transfers. The evidence is overwhelming. Jury conviction guaranteed. What would I have to do? Continue your normal life. Treat veteran patients. But the information you pass to Iran will be what we want them to know. Disinformation. Rachel realized she was trapped. No good options. How do I know you won't eliminate me after my usefulness ends? Because, Kim stood up, we need a long-term asset in the Iranian network. Your value isn't short-term. I need guarantees. Your guarantee is staying alive and free, better than prison. Rachel reluctantly agreed. What's the first assignment? At your next Iranian contact, you'll provide detailed deployment information. Looks authentic, but outdated or false locations. And if Iran discovers the deception? Kim walked away. Then you better make it convincing. Returning to work was surreal. Rachel treated veterans knowing every conversation was monitored by the CIA. Information carefully curated by Kim's team. The first test came a week later. Tehran requested an emergency contact meeting. Rachel met Alexander at a downtown coffee shop. Her Iranian handler, with a suspicious demeanor. Phoenix, Murphy's death is concerning. Possible security breach. Murphy's suicide was unrelated. Personal issues, PTSD. Nevertheless, operations are paused. New protocols required. Alexander handed her an encrypted tablet. New targets. Higher priority intelligence. Rachel reviewed the list. Military contractors, Defense Department personnel, congressional staffers. Expansion beyond veterans? Iran requires a broader intelligence network. Your medical credentials provide access to a wider range of targets. Rachel realized Iran was planning a major intelligence operation. Kim needed to know immediately. Understood. The new approach requires time. Time is limited. Results expected within a month. The meeting ended, and Rachel contacted Kim using emergency protocol. Iranian expansion confirmed, targeting government personnel beyond military. Copy. Continue normal operations. New instructions forthcoming. But Rachel's unease was increasing. Too many players, too many agendas. CIA, Iran, her own survival. Who could she trust? 2 weeks later, chaos erupted. When Rachel arrived at her office, FBI agents were waiting. Not the same agents. Dr. Thornton, Agent Sarah Phillips, Counterintelligence. We need an immediate discussion. About what? About your Iranian handler being arrested this morning. Rachel's heart sank. Alexander was caught. I don't know what you mean. Alexander Petrov, Iranian intelligence operative. He had your contact information, meeting locations, payment records. Agent Phillips placed photos on the desk. Rachel meeting Alexander, exchanging materials. Game over, Dr. Thornton. Unless. Unless what? Unless you cooperate fully. Total transparency about the Iranian network, operations, contacts. Rachel was confused. No instructions had come from Kim. Was this a new development? I want a lawyer. You can have a lawyer. But the Iranian network is rolling up operations, fleeing the country. Your cooperation window is closing rapidly. Her phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Location compromised. Extract immediately. K. Kim's warning. Rachel needed to make a decision quickly. If I cooperate, what protection is offered? Witness protection. New identity. Relocation. Safety. Rachel realized multiple agencies had conflicting agendas. Kim was running a CIA operation, Phillips an FBI investigation. There was no coordination. I need time to consider. You have 1 hour. Phillips left, and Rachel immediately exited the area. Emergency protocol. Destroy evidence. Abandon operation. Survive. Rachel quickly returned to her apartment and gathered essential items. Passport, cash, encrypted communications device. As she got in her car, the phone rang. Kim. Rachel. Abort immediately. Multiple agency involvement. Situation compromised. FBI already contacted me. FBI is a rogue operation. Phillips isn't authorized. Someone leaked the CIA operation. What's happening? Interagency conflict. FBI wants the Iranian network for prosecution. CIA wants the network for intelligence. You're caught in the middle. Where do I go? Safe house address incoming. Avoid all law enforcement contact. Rachel drove carefully, checking mirrors for surveillance. Multiple agencies were hunting her. FBI for prosecution, CIA for control, Iran for elimination. Her paranoia was justified. A black SUV was following discreetly. Emergency maneuver. Sharp turn, alley exit, route change. The SUV disappeared. The safe house was in a suburban location, a nondescript house with Kim waiting. Rachel, the situation has deteriorated rapidly. The Iranian network is exposed. Assets are fleeing or being arrested. What about me? Extraction tomorrow night. New identity prepared. Relocation to Canada. And then? Then you disappear forever. Samira Hosseini and Rachel Thornton both officially die. Why should I trust you? Kim hesitated. Because I'm about to tell you something that changes everything. Murphy wasn't just a CIA asset, Kim revealed. He was my son. Rachel was stunned. Your son? Adopted son, recruited young, trained for deep cover operations. His death is personal for me. Then this isn't just about Iranian networks. Correct. Murphy discovered the Iranian network was planning a terrorist attack on American soil. Major target. Thousands of planned casualties. Kim showed classified documents. Iranian operation called Red Dawn, coordinated attacks on multiple American cities. Murphy's intelligence prevented this attack. His death ensured the Iranian network was exposed before execution. And my role? Your Iranian contacts had the final operational details. We needed those details to identify all participants. Rachel realized Murphy's suicide was a strategic sacrifice. Expose the network, prevent the attack, save lives. Did Murphy know he would die? He knew the risks. Chose country over personal safety. And now? Now you help finish his mission. One final contact with Tehran. Extract the remaining operational details. That's a suicide mission. Not if properly planned. Kim outlined the plan. Rachel would contact Tehran on the emergency frequency, claim to have critical intelligence about CIA infiltration. During the meeting, transmit the location to CIA, capture the entire remaining network. The risks are enormous. So are the consequences of a terrorist attack. Rachel weighed her options, personal survival versus national security. Murphy had made the ultimate sacrifice. Could she do less? What guarantees? None. But your conscience will be clear. And if I refuse, then Murphy died for nothing. And thousands die in a terrorist attack. Rachel realized no choice remained. Honor Murphy's sacrifice, complete the mission. Set up the meeting. The next evening, Rachel contacted Tehran using emergency protocol. Phoenix emergency, CIA infiltration discovered. Need immediate extraction. Explain. Multiple assets compromised. Have complete CIA operation details. Require urgent meeting. Location? Warehouse District, Pier 47, midnight. Confirmed. Rachel arrived at the location early. CIA surveillance teams were positioned. Audio, video equipment active. Kim was nearby with a backup team. 11:55 p.m. 2 cars approached. Iranian operatives, heavily armed. Rashid Abbas, Tehran senior operative, approached cautiously. Phoenix, situation report. CIA discovered network through Murphy asset. Have complete penetration details. Details. Rachel handed over an encrypted drive, actually containing false information and tracking software. Complete CIA operation, agent identities, surveillance methods. Abbas examined the drive. How did CIA discover network? Murphy confession before suicide. Named contacts, locations, methods. Are you compromised? Negative. CIA believes I'm an innocent psychiatrist. Perfect cover maintained. Abbas nodded. Extraction arranged. Tomorrow flight to Tehran. Understood. Signal moment. Rachel touched her earpiece, activated the beacon. Suddenly the warehouse flooded with lights. FBI, CIA, military teams surrounded the area. Federal agents. Surrender immediately. Abbas reached for his weapon. Rachel dove for cover. Gunfire erupted. Chaos. Iranian operatives shooting. Federal agents advancing. Rachel trapped in crossfire. Kim's voice in her earpiece. Stay down. Extraction team incoming. 2 minutes of intense firefight. Smoke grenades, automatic weapons, shouted commands. Then silence. Abbas wounded. Alive. Arrested. 2 Iranian operatives dead. 1 escaped. Rachel unharmed. Mission accomplished. Network neutralized. Terrorist attack prevented. 6 months later, small town in British Columbia, Canada. Dr. Maria Santos operated a private psychology practice. Quiet life, peaceful existence, no intelligence networks or dangerous games. Rachel, Samira, Maria was finally free from the espionage world. New identity secure, past buried, future uncertain but hopeful. A letter arrived, no return address. Inside, a single photo, Murphy with young soldiers, smiling, confident. On the back of the photo, a handwritten note. Thank you for finishing what he started, Kay. Maria smiled sadly. Murphy's sacrifice had saved thousands of lives. His memory lived on through the mission's completion. Peaceful life came with a price. Constant awareness, careful behavior, perpetual vigilance. The double agent life had ended, but the habits remained. The evening news reported. Terrorist plot against American cities thwarted by intelligence operation. Details classified. Maria turned off the TV. Some victories stayed quiet, some heroes stayed unnamed. She looked at Murphy's photo again. A young man who had sacrificed everything for the country he loved. "Mission complete, Kevin," she whispered. Outside, the Canadian sunset painted the sky orange and red. Beautiful, peaceful, safe. Everything Murphy had died protecting. Dr. Rachel Thornton officially died in a car accident. Samira Hosseini disappeared without a trace. Dr. Maria Santos lived quietly, treating trauma patients, building a normal life. But late at night, sometimes she wondered, was a peaceful life worth the ultimate price? The answer was always the same. Murphy thought so, and that was enough. Because sometimes heroes don't get parades or medals. Sometimes they get quiet Canadian sunsets and the knowledge that they saved lives. Sometimes that's everything. And sometimes, the greatest victories are won in wars that are never heard about. Dr. Maria Santos continued her peaceful life, carrying a secret forever. She was the woman who helped prevent a terrorist attack that would have killed thousands. That secret, like Murphy's memory, would die with her. Some stories are too important to tell. Some heroes are too valuable to remember. Until now.